Lee Summit is your destination for big city vibes and small town charm.
Head to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market, where local meets fresh. Then grab a cup of coffee and discover a variety of shops and boutiques just around the corner. Continue the fun in downtown Lee Summit at a retro arcade bar. Discover your new beer at one of our 6 locally owned breweries. Cool off with some handcrafted cocktails at happy hour. End the night with live music and good company. Lee Summit, Missouri.
Hello, Lee Summit. I'm Laura, and this is your flash briefing for the week of November 18th. Heads up, Jackson County taxpayers. Lee Summit City Hall is currently unable to process tax payments, print receipts, or create waivers. Taxpayers are advised to visit Jackson County location or pay online at jacksongov.org. City Council will meet for regular session Tuesday night, 6 in council chambers in City Hall. Meetings are open to the public or watch live on the city's YouTube channel. If you can't watch, catch the recorded meeting on demand on the YouTube channel or by subscribing to the Council Debrief newsletter, which breaks down 3 to 4 key agenda items. Subscribe at cityofls.net. Head to Howard Station Park on November 22nd as we light downtown in thousands of sparkling lights for the mayor's tree lighting at 6:30 p.m. This year's theme is Miracle on Main Street. Enjoy shopping, musical performances, a visit from Santa and Mrs. Claus, and much more to get you into the holiday spirit. Holiday shopping is in full swing. Need a stocking stuffer? Check out the Lee Summit Marketplace located in the lobby of City Hall. It has great items like Lee Summit branded socks, Tervis tumblers, coasters, and more. Show off your Lee Summit pride. It's open 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. And have you ever wondered how your local government works, how the city budget is developed, and where the city gets its water? The Citizens Leadership Academy will help answer those questions and more. Tour facilities and learn about the inner workings of city government from city leaders and elected officials. Participants will attend 7 sessions beginning in January. Applications are accepted through December 13th and space is limited. Find the application on the city's website. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Welcome to the Lee Summit Sign Department. We are going to walk you through our process from start to finish. We make signs as needed here. It's not like we just go out into the field and place a speed limit sign here, no parking here. Our traffic engineers, they go through and they'll do field studies. They'll send us down an engineering work order for us to go out, place new signs or remove signs as needed. Coming from the material, our blanks come in and they're just aluminum blanks. We can put our white, our red, our fluorescent yellow, green, whatever. And basically what it looks like is just that there. Throw it up into the roller. And once we got it covered, take it to our work table here, and Tim will cut the corners, cut all the access off to where it's lined up right. As far as the plotter and the software that we use, there's a street name sign there, and he's gonna go ahead and print that out on the plotter so you can see the plotter and how it operates and runs. There's standards for the height, even just on letters on the sign blank. Basically what we have on the computer there is it's pretty much set up to those. And it goes through, it's got a very small but sharp needle that goes through and cuts everything out, letter by letter. Once that's done cutting, our next stage would be bringing it over here. Currently picking out the sign letters right now. We call it weeding or picking or however you want to call it. Next, putting it on the transfer tape. Then after it's taped, we bring it over to the roller. That's where we apply it to the actual sign blank. And we'll roll it through one time just to get the air bubbles out. And the last stage is basically just taking the transfer tape off the front of it. And there's a finished product of the street name sign. We'll take you out to the field and show you our process that we go through. We're gonna go out and follow our sign guys and get something installed for you. This is where we check our underground utilities. Tim, you got AT&T?
AT&T's back here.
Evergy, Google, so we should be good to go. We normally put all of our stuff together out in the field. Then once the base is installed, we'll go ahead and put the post in there. We've come up to perfect. And that's how we do it. Simple, quick.
It's Mayor Pryor.
Thank you, Mayor. Quite a few of us are getting questions. I know I've gotten a few questions about the plan, so I didn't know if, just for the public knowledge. I'm not a politician. I feel like I'm just an average person in Lee Summit. They have a football field set up. Inside these cones are their football fields. Our two-car garage is we're gonna bring the driveway back through here, and it's gonna go right here. And then, so my family has chickens. When we first got chickens, my husband said, don't treat them as your pets, treat them as chickens, because we're going to be eating the eggs, and I would like to use them for meat. So don't treat them as your pets. Well, we now have 6 chickens that I consider my pets, and I will not let him kill for meat. So we live downtown, and we love living downtown. These are my children. The first one's Lincoln, and Amira, and Sophia, and Caleb. This is a great neighborhood. Downtown is one big community, and all of the kids get together and they play basketball, and we like to walk to the farmer's market. Here, hold my hand. It's an easy walk, probably less than 10 minutes. The farmer's market has always been a very important part of my life and my family's life. As a matter of fact, when my daughter started kindergarten, I dropped her off and I was going shopping at the farmer's market right behind Lee Summit Elementary. And I was teary-eyed because she was my first and she was going off to kindergarten. And Terry, the butterfly lady, the one that's in the purple shirt, and she used to make little butterfly stickers for everyone, she gave me a big hug and was just so empathetic to the fact that my daughter had just started school. How are you guys doing? Doing well. How are you? Yeah, very good. A lot of the farmers there, they've watched my kids grow up. I love Lee Summit in general. I love that it still has a small town feel while embracing growth and the arts and diversity. And I feel like downtown specifically embodies that. My kids go to Lee Summit Elementary, and a lot of their teachers live downtown, and a lot of the business owners from downtown live downtown. So when we're out walking downtown, we see so many people we know. I lived in Africa until I was 5, and then we moved to the United States, and I've lived in Lee Summit since. A lot of my childhood, my mom was a single mom, and I feel like I was essentially raised by my community and being on council, and it's just such an important way to give back to the community that raised me.
I state your name.
I, Mia Pryor,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications
this day of April 2022. The election process was fun. I got to go door to door and talk to people, which is my absolute favorite thing to do, is talking to people and learning about people. I even had people inviting me into their house for dinner or inviting me back to their house to meet their spouse. And I knocked on a door, and the lady that answered the door was my kindergarten teacher. So it was a lot of fun. Is it on? Hi everyone, I'm Councilmember Mia Pryor. Thank you very much for coming tonight. I have one on, can you not? Okay. Maybe I went. I love being a council rep for District 1. I know everyone says this, but District 1 is by far, in my opinion, the best district. Raintree Lake, that's part of District 1. I love that community. Actually, my husband and I got married at the clubhouse in Raintree Lake. I really love all of South Lee Summit. I love the growth that they're going to be experiencing soon and that they've already experienced. I wanted to say that if you guys have a concern, please come tell us what your concern is, because we can only address and help with what we know. We're there to kind of bridge that gap between constituents in the city, and we're the voice of our constituents, and we can go to the city and voice what their concerns are, what their ideas are. So if you have a concern, definitely make us aware. So my big priorities are public safety. That's always one of my top priorities. I've always wanted to make sure that first responders were supported. I think that that's super important to me, and to many in our city. But also, I wanted to influence the growth in Lee Summit. I wanted to influence the type of businesses we get here and the type of activities there are to do for our families. If we're going to continue to grow downtown, how important it is to focus on people that already live here and the infrastructure we already have in place.
Our first presentation tonight is going to be Assistant City Manager Ryan Elam, who is going to talk about that very exciting Farmers Market Plaza.
But I want to show you the most recent rendering, fly-through video of that. That's really the best way to kind of get a good sense of what this will look like in the near future.
To see it developing into something as big as it's going to be across from City Hall is super exciting to me. I can't wait for it to get built and to start welcoming people into what the farmers market's going to be, but also everything else that goes along with that development.
Okay.
You want to hold it? Don't drop it.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Have a good rest.
I'm just an average person in Lee Summit that wanted to be a voice of many that sometimes feel like they don't have a voice. Yeah, I'm not a politician. I'm just a mom that cares.
See where she responded last time, but with all the issues I've been having with email, I would not take that to the bank at all.
Okay, no worries. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order for the, oh, it looks like she is having trouble with the link. Gina or someone, can you text that to Trish?
I can do that. 2 seconds.
Okay, perfect. Well, it looks like she's going to attempt to join, but we'll go ahead and call this to order and go ahead and start going through roll call and agenda approval and all that good stuff. So can we get a roll call, please?
Does Gina still not have sound, Brian?
It doesn't look like it.
Okay. Hold on, let me switch screens and then I can do a roll call. for you. We're going to do it the lazy way. Councilmember Rader.
Present.
Councilmember Hodges.
Here.
Councilmember Carlisle. Chair Shields.
Here. All right. Next item is approval of the agenda. Do we have any comments to the agenda? If not, I would look for a motion. And Councilmember Rader, would you be able to turn on your camera for votes at least?
Yeah, I didn't really want anybody to see me, but okay. It looked terrible.
I mean, if you want to put your hand in front of your face or something, no judgment.
So, Chair,
Yes.
I move for the approval of the agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Hodges, second by Councilmember Rader to approve the agenda. Can we get a vote on that, please?
Councilmember Hodges.
Aye.
Councilmember Rader.
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle. Absent. Chair Shields.
Aye. All right. Next item is public comments. Did we have any public comments submitted for today, or any members of the public that wanted to make comment?
Chair, we had no comments submitted in advance, and there's no one in attendance on the Zoom.
Okay. All right, then we will move straight into business. First item is 2024-6584, approval of the action letter for October 17th.
Chair,
Yes.
I move for the approval of the action letter for the October 17, 2024 City Council Rules Committee meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Hodges, second by Councilmember Rader to approve the action letter for October 17th. Can we get a vote on that, please?
Councilmember Rader.
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle. Absent. Councilmember Hodges.
Aye.
Chair Shields.
Aye. All right. Next item is our main piece of business for today, which is our continued discussion of televising boards and commissions. I believe at our last meeting, we had kind of left off with asking staff to do a little bit of homework about what was really feasible here and any recommendations that they have. So who wants to kick us back off with that discussion?
I can tell you, we did go back to management team. And most of the concerns we heard from them were just logistics sorts of things. You know, like, is there going to be a decent quality if we're just doing it via Zoom? Like we're recording via Zoom, you know, you've just got one computer recording the room. There were some people who expressed a concern that, you know, it's hard in many instances to find good quality candidates for boards and commissions. And they felt like it might be harder if we were recording every single meeting. Those are the types of things that we heard. I can't say, and Crystal and Cheryl, you were both there. You can kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't hear anybody expressing any, you know, really dire concerns, particularly about any of them. I will say that on the water, what's it called? The Water
Utilities Advisory Board.
That's the one. You know, that's the one that that board was created to take the politics out of setting water rates completely. And their concern was if people are getting televised for all of the votes that they take in order to set the water rates to a proper rate so we can maintain the system properly, they felt like they would have difficulty getting good people, and it would reinsert some of the politics back into that one. But otherwise, I didn't really hear any big concerns about any of these.
Chair, if I can just, sorry, I don't have a camera. I wasn't at the meeting with management team, but the only concerns I got from the boards, we asked them to pass their concerns on to council. I don't think they really have many. It was really just logistics, because I know we have a couple of boards like the Arts and Culture and the Wellness Commission that will do meetings off-site with partners. So they may be touring a hospital or, you know, meeting with Jackson County Health, just figuring out how to do that and do it well, where it's actually useful for people that want to watch it. So that was really a few of them were a little nervous because they do tend to dress casually for the meeting. So they were afraid they'd have to start dressing up for the meetings. And sometimes we do have rules that they follow, but sometimes they have side conversations about family and kiddos, and they get off on stories, and they were a little worried about doing that and that being recorded and broadcast. But they do it when people come to the meetings that are public, so I don't think it's that much different. And
Okay. I think that's some good information. Do we have any particular questions from the committee members about this? And otherwise, we can just hop into kind of further discussion.
Chair.
Yes, Councilmember Rader.
Brian brought up a good point about the water utilities. I hadn't thought about that before. I served on that board, and we do have discussion about setting rates and things like that. Now, the board's been very conservative. I don't know that it would be of huge concern, but you never know. People think what they think. And I would say that same thing with the tax review board. We're talking about capital improvements, but we're talking about setting costs for increasing or decrease. Well, we haven't decreased, but setting costs to increase those fees.
Are you talking about the license tax review committee?
Yeah, the
or a
license
different
tax
one?
review board. Yeah, license tax
Okay.
review board.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know it was currently recorded. Is it currently recorded?
No. My notes are no. Yeah.
If I can, I will put up a. We included a different chart that kind of makes it's sort of an at a glance kind of chart. Cheryl put this together that kind of gives a direct, quick look at how each of the different items are boards are viewed, and so you can see here there's cable live, YouTube post, Granicus post, and does it require AV text? And you can see kind of on that matrix there very quickly which ones are what goes along with each different board and commission that might make it a little bit easier.
And Granicus, does that mean posting on the city website?
It means that it's being appended to the legislative center that is included in the city website, but it's part of that whole legislative center side of the city website.
Right. Okay. Just wanted to make sure we were clear. Okay. Do we have other questions or discussion on these?
Chair, I have one more comment.
Yeah, please.
On the land clearance for development authority,
Yeah, the LCRA board.
LCRA, yeah. It doesn't say that it's it and the TIF commission. Okay, good. It doesn't say, is that something that we would, now, are we talking about publicizing everything, but this is currently what's going on here? We're talking about recording zooming in or recording everything, and then, but this is currently what we don't do or do?
This is the current state of affairs as it exists right now.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Is this big enough for you to see? Do I need to zoom it up a little bit? I can't tell what it looks like to you, the way the sharing works now.
I mean, I pulled it up on my desktop. Are the other council members able to see what they need to see?
Yeah, I can see it pretty good.
I can see it, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so go ahead.
I guess I was going to say, I mean, I don't have objection to anything being available for people to see. And like I said, I'm not so worried. I mean, yes, thinking about it might be a concern for a minute, but then I was never worried because we do have citizen participation on those boards, the License Tax Review Board and the Water Utilities, there was anything that I would think that anybody would saw from the public that would be thinking that somebody was trying to do something they shouldn't be doing or trying to charge people or anything else. It was a great board, and they were always very cognizant of, the residents in Lee Summit and the cost of things. So I don't know. I don't know that that's a concern. Well, when I think about it.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Rader. Councilmember Hodges or Councilmember Carlisle, do you have any additional thoughts at this point?
I just had a comment.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to remember what I know that last time we were doing this meeting, you had made a quick list, kind of like this, saying what we were wanting from each committee. So I'm trying to remember, but I guess my comment is really just I'm all for the more transparency, the better. I guess I'm a little confused on why people would care whether or not they're seen on video or not. I feel like if you care, or it's kind of like, oh, I might not want to be on this committee. It's kind of, to me, it feels like it sounds a little bit like, well, why would it matter? And I feel like if it's, especially if it's something like water utilities, I could go either way on that one. But if they're not wanting to be recorded, and this kind of, I feel like it has to do with things that are going on in the city, then people should be able to view that because it's going to affect the rest of the citizens. So I feel like the more transparency, the better. And I would hope nobody would feel like it, out of sorts being recorded, because I feel like they should want transparency in any way possible that we can give it to the citizens. So I'm on the side of the more the better, because the more available, and send people to those videos if they have questions and they can just see it for themselves rather than have hearsay. So that's just my comment. I'm all for whatever transparency we can give the community.
Okay.
Can I ask one question? This is Cheryl.
Sure, go ahead.
The Public Safety Advisory Board is an example of that is held over at police. And right now where they hold that in they don't have the capability to record it. So for that kind of a committee, they would need to move that meeting someplace where they would be able to do that. And then I think there would be a difference between whether you want people on camera or you want them to simply record the audio. I know we had that before with parks. They recorded the audio. Now they meet in Strother where we've got it set up really good with the new cameras, the new AV system. So that's just a question that I know would be important to them, is they would need to find another place to meet that has those AV capabilities. So just wanted to throw that out, or if it's something where we just want to record the audio.
Okay. Let's see. So I'm trying to see if I can't join this meeting from my desktop as well, so that I can share that spreadsheet that we were talking about. But I don't know that I've got the IT capabilities right now, which that's on me. I feel like we probably want to go through these again, like one by one.
Oh, wait.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, you were coming into I was letting you
Okay.
again.
Oh, yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, so would I be able to share my screen so that I can pull up?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so can you guys see my spreadsheet here? This is the same one we were working out, and I just made a few notes about the discussion so far. So I think we're all good on city council and city council committees. We talked last time about task force, adding a definition of what a task force is to that ordinance. And then are we still good with the idea that when one of those task forces is formed, then the council will decide whether or not that gets broadcast? Is everybody still kind of good with that?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so we'll keep that. Planning Commission, we're good with, it's already broadcast. Same with TIF Commission and Parks Board. We're happy with how Parks Board does it, that they just record and post that. Is everybody fine with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so then we get into the ones where I think we have a little bit more questions or maybe some changes. So the Board of Aeronautics Commissioners, BOAC, did it seem like they would have AV capabilities if we wanted to have those recorded or broadcast? I think right now they're at City Hall, but they're talking about moving that to Hangar 2. Do we know kind of what that will look like? Probably a question to staff.
I am 80% sure that in the future plans for Hangar 2, they plan to have video conferencing capability in the conference room, because that would be useful to staff and tenants as well. They could always do a lower quality recording using a laptop with having the broad view on Zoom, that way facing the camera outward. So we always have a capability, just may not be as refined as others.
Okay. So kind of given the consensus of the committee, it sounds like if that's doable, we'd want them to go ahead and share their recordings after their meetings. Are we okay with that?
Yeah, and so for your notes here, it says current, yes, but not uploaded. Did we, question mark, did we get an answer to that? Are they recording it? We're just not putting it anywhere?
So they currently record it so that the staff person that writes the action letter doesn't necessarily have to be at the meeting. And then they do it during work hours.
If they're currently recording it,
that's
then I don't see any reason why we couldn't upload it to something, you know, I mean.
And the recording, Cheryl, are they just audio recording or are they doing Zoom recording? I can't remember.
I believe that was like an audio recording that we got.
It's just an audio recording. But again, they could use Zoom to record, or they could.
Well, and I mean, even if it's just audio, let me tell you, when I go and watch these meetings to get the information I'm looking for, I don't watch them. I turn them on, I put my headphones in my ears, and then I go on working and I listen to it. And when it hits whatever I was looking at or looking for, I go to it and pay attention. I don't watch every part of it. I just listen to the things. So I think if it's an audio recording that can be put on there, that's fine with me too. I mean, it's not like we need to see every person there, as long as you can hear what's going on with all the conversation and votes, so that you're understanding where something came from is the most important part to me.
I think that's a good point and a good question for us to clarify is, when we say uploading recordings, do we want to specify whether those are audio or video or both? Because it seems like for city council, when we have virtual meetings, we do ask for people to turn on their cameras when they're speaking and when they're voting. Do we want to say, you know, for council and council committees that it needs to be video, and for everything else, audio is sufficient, video preferred, or what are our thoughts on that?
Chair.
Yes.
I guess where I'm at, I'm probably on the opposite of that. I'm a weirdo and I like to watch the video and see who's saying what. So that way it's more in context for me. So that way I'm not just like, wait, who was it? Okay, that makes sense that that person said that or whatever. But I kind of like to know who's saying what. Not necessarily that I need a HD video saying, even if it's a little fuzzy, you just kind of, I feel like it just gives more context to the conversation.
I would agree with Councilmember Hodges on that. I like to see people's faces when they talk. I didn't.
There's a little bit of irony right now, Councilmember Rader. So a little bit of irony right now, Councilmember Rader.
I know. I know, but I'm so embarrassed for the way I look and I sound. You just don't want to see me or listen to me. Actually.
Well, you look fine, but that is a point I think that Crystal was kind of making, that some folks are a little bit concerned if they didn't put on, you know, their best outfit and their makeup, that maybe they don't want to always be on camera. So I don't know that that's a reason why we need to make the decision one way or the other, but that is, I think, something there's maybe a little bit of concern about. I'm good either way.
I understand that too. And I'm not saying that, Councilmember Rader, you know, you're on video right now.
I was trying to turn my sound off.
I'm not saying that it has to be, you know, like we're doing in Zoom boxes with everybody's face, or that it has to be recorded like we do at council, where whoever's talking, they're zooming in on. You know, I think just a big overall picture of the room so you can see what's happening in the people. Is that something that you think would be okay?
And I guess for the staff, is it going to be much more logistically challenging to do that, or given that, you know, you can have a laptop with a camera, is that not a much bigger lift than what we do right now?
Yeah, I mean, if they have a laptop with a camera and they have a Zoom and they record it that way, that's great. The bigger lift is going to be for whomever, probably our clerks, and those people are going to be uploading all these meetings to our legislative area.
Yeah, Chair,
I'm sure that's. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't think it's going to be a huge lift. There'll be some weird one-offs, and we'll just make an explanation in the video. Like if they're doing a tour, probably be hard to video the tour part, but we'll just say, they're, they'll put a little message in the video. They're taking a tour of X facility or whatever.
Well, and I don't, yeah, if they're on a tour, they're out and about. I mean, I don't see reason to videotape all of that. I think the more of the concern is when they're having discussions about what they're sending forward to council or votes that they're taking that are going to affect the public. I mean, that's really what I'm concerned about and what I think that the public would be concerned about. It's not like field trips. Like, I mean, unless they're taking votes at field trips, which I don't think that would happen. I mean, I think that could just be a written explanation of tour of whatever for whatever reason. It's my opinion, though.
Yeah, and most of these committees aren't taking any votes that make any decision. They just make a presentation to council for you guys to make a decision. So any vote they took, even if we missed something while they were on the tour or something, we would be able to put it in the notes that this is what they took, this is what they talked about, because it all has to come. Most of these committees all have to come to you. Most of them have no power. They're just here to advise you on things you've asked them to advise you on.
Yeah, and I think if they were on,
I don't think it's going to be hard.
Okay.
We just have a few folks that were a little nervous about, because these committees are a little more informal and they have discussions, and a lot of them, this is their first touch with government of any kind. So they ask a lot of questions. And so some were a little concerned that they may not ask questions because they don't want a snippet of them sounding dumb. I mean, that's exactly what they said, but we've tried to let them know that I don't think the public's watching this to catch you saying something silly. They understand, and maybe someone will see this and want to volunteer for board and commission because they see it's not as formal as council. It's not something they have to be an expert in everything. They just have to be a person that cares and is interested. So I think it could be.
Well, and also there's no dumb question. I mean, if one person doesn't know it, I guarantee there are more out there that don't know. And so if we're giving explanations for, what we're doing or the words we use or whatever, that's probably good for the public to be able to have that information as well and educate them on it.
I think for some of them, it's just they're not public officials like you. They're not people that have chosen to live a public life. So they get a little more nervous, and we just have to try to encourage them that it's a safe spot, and that if something is to come up that they get harassed or they get an online troll, which I can't imagine happening. But I think that's the fear people have just seeing the national world, that we would have resources to help them.
Well, it's not that we're posting all their personal information on these boards and commissions, right? I mean, it says who belongs to it, but we're not given any other information out, which I understand people can search for everything, but I mean, their name's already on the website, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, if people wanted to find them, they could find them now. So just adding a video of the meeting and the discussion, I don't think that's, I mean, I understand their concern on where they think that would be more, give people more information, but really it doesn't, unless you know exactly. It's not like they're sitting like we do at council with their names in front of them and every person that speaks gets zeroed in on, right? It's just the room.
Yeah, Chair, if it's okay, I think it was one or two people, and I don't think they're worried about personal information. I think it's more so we've just gone through an election cycle where you see videos where there's clips of politicians looking dumb or saying something stupid. And I think they're more afraid that a disgruntled person may take a clip from a meeting and put it on social media and they get blasted. And we tried to nicely say, I don't think any of us are that important, without saying your role in the committee is not important. I don't know if there's a right way to say that, but I totally understand that. They're just everyday folk, just like we all are. And they just, I think once we do it, it'll be changed and we'll just help coach them through it. But I totally understand where they're coming from.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm staff and I say dumb things in meetings all the time. And so.
So I feel like we have kind of consensus on just the concept of recordings. I do want to make sure that we're clear when we put this in there, though. Do we want to include some kind of language like meetings shall be recorded and published to the city website, however we have that, where reasonably practicable, so that if it's something like a tour or something where there's just not a good way to get that AV support, that, for the things that are not council committees, planning commission, TIF commission, the ones that always always are broadcast. For the ones that are, you know, BOAC, Human Relations Commission, Water Utilities Wellness Commission, do we want to say that, you know, to the extent reasonably practical meetings will be recorded and made available for the public, but have a little bit of wiggle room there so that we can put an explanation in the minutes if there's something like a tour or difficult with AV equipment or something like that, so that nobody's violating our city ordinances, but that they're doing their best to do this? Or do we want to have it more of a hard, fast rule? Councilmember Rader?
I mean, that sounds good to me.
Councilmember Hodges, would that be okay with you?
Yeah, I'm good with that as well.
Okay. So for basically on my spreadsheet here, for everything after Parks Board, so everything that I have highlighted here, we'll add language basically where reasonably practicable, and I will let the lawyers actually write that language, but is that kind of where we're at with that?
So
Okay.
what I've got then, just to be clear, is we have the items that are above that you highlighted, and we need to talk about Parks Board a little bit. The other items, and the way it's listed in the current resolution is that it's city council committees, task forces as determined by the council, but we've already talked, we're going to kind of have a separate category for that. Planning Commission, TIF Commission, we had the DNI Commission, but that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And Parks and Rec Board as being saying that we would broadcast utilizing television and city website. I assume that for most of those, we want those broadcast live, if at all possible.
And I think, and we've got that here at the top of the chart where we're saying live broadcast for everything except for parks, because I think their standard operation is to just record and post that later. And I think we're okay with that.
So, and I think that kind of leads us to the two big broad categories, is the things that are broadcast live and the things that are recorded and just uploaded to Granicus or potentially YouTube also. I don't know exactly what Cheryl's thoughts are on that. So those are going to be kind of the two categories, is that, and then we'll have a kind of a third special category for task forces. Any specially created task force or ad hoc committee, you know, will be recorded as required by the council, or we'll get some language for that in there and let the council decide at the time. Is that kind of where we want to go with this then?
I think so. I want to walk through the rest of these committees and commissions real quick with the committee to make sure we're all on the same page. But generally, yeah, that we'll have some that are live broadcast, some that are recordings made available, and that with the ones where it's recordings to be made available, we're going to say we're reasonably practicable, because we know that sometimes for some of these groups, they're meeting in different locations, and we understand that. But for these other ones, we expect them to always be available. So I think that's the impression that I have, unless anyone correct me if I'm wrong on that. Okay, so Human Relations Commission, same deal. We want to make sure that it has recordings available. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. License Tax Review Committee, same deal.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Public Safety Advisory Board, right now, that was one that we mentioned has no AV capability at the Justice Center, so they might need to meet in a different location, or they might need to have someone with the laptop and camera. So do we have any thoughts on that, or do we want to keep it in the same category and let them figure it out? Yes, Councilmember Carlisle.
Thank you. So with this new overhaul they're not going to add AV capabilities? Does anybody know?
The particular conference room they meet in is a public facing conference room, and it is the one that doesn't have recording capabilities. It has AV, but it doesn't have cameras in there. And that's also because sometimes they do victim statements if they have a large group of victims. So having cameras can be a intimidation factor, but we could just bring a laptop in. If you're not worried about it being a real tight shot, We can set a laptop up at the end of the table. It shouldn't be a hard thing.
Or they could meet in the brand new building that we're building, maybe when that happens, because I'm sure they'll have AV capabilities there.
We
I
don't
hope so,
typically hold
with the
public
brand new one.
meetings in secured areas of buildings, and that's a secured area. So that's why they use that particular one. But they could talk about moving over here to City Hall if they need to. We'll work it out with the staff liaisons. I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll say yes.
If you don't need fancy, we got a duct tape solution to just about everything.
Okay, so we'll say yes, and they'll possibly move to City Hall, and kind of the same deal with License Tax Review Commission, that they may move to a facility that has AV capabilities. Water Utilities Advisory Board, that's one where we said there's maybe a little bit of concern about injecting too much politics into what they do. Do we want to leave them as not requiring recordings or broadcasts because of that? Do you want them to be broadcast? What are our thoughts?
I think we're fine with broadcasting them. Like I said, I actually, when I got on the board, I was really surprised what a great board it was, and how the citizens that were involved there had, really good, there was really good feedback on stuff, and it was all very conservative. I don't know why anybody would be upset about not getting charged more money. That's my
right. And I that's a good point, Councilmember Rader, especially with your experience there. We don't know what the future will hold. We don't know what might end up changing there. Councilmember Carlisle or Hodges, do you have any opinions?
I would agree with that. I'm good with it being recorded.
I would say so as well, yes.
Okay. I think we have consensus there then. Let's see, Board of Appeals. And it looks like they usually meet by video conference anyway, so that would probably be pretty easy. Do we want to, same deal there?
Okay with me.
I'm good, yep.
Wellness and Cultural Commissions, those are kind of similar deals that are meeting in Struthers, so they probably have that capability. We want to record theirs?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. LCRA Board,
Definitely,
same
yeah.
deal?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, and then zoning adjustments.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so I feel like we have a pretty clear consensus of where we want to go. So sort of like Brian talked about, we'd be splitting these into sort of two buckets, which are call like our mandatory broadcast and record. And then we'll say
it's on demand.
Preferable recording. But these ones, like we talked about, will have just a little bit of wiggle room if they're not able to do that. And then Parks Board, we're going to say mandatory record.
And can we in post or something like that?
Yeah, I'm just being lazy in my categories here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've does that seem to reflect what everybody takes away from this discussion?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Okay.
great.
Yes, agreed.
Okay.
Chair, can I ask an operational question?
Please.
So some of the committees that are just preferable for record, they have subcommittees. And when I say subcommittees, maybe we should probably define that. It's usually like the Cultural Commission. They have 3 folks that may get together and work on designing a flyer for an event. You don't want us to try to record those, right? Because often those aren't, they'll be a whistle stop or something. We do post them and say they're there, but they're working on something, they still have to come back to the committee and talk about anything. They can't do anything on their own. Is that okay?
I think so. I mean, I would assume those are pretty informal meetings. Like you say, they have to go back and report to their main committee. So unless anyone has any objections, I don't know that we need to try to get cameras into Whistle Stop.
And we still post them. So if someone from the public wants to show up and help, they can.
Sure. Sure. And I assume they're probably they don't have a quorum of those committees when they're meeting, those subcommittees usually.
No, we're very
Either.
careful. They don't have a quorum. And sometimes those subcommittees may include someone who's just a volunteer from the public who maybe is really good at designing posters or whatever. So yeah,
Okay.
they're very informal, but we do post them so people know they're happening.
Okay. Is that okay with everyone?
Sounds
Yeah.
good to me.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Brian, do you feel like you have what you need to revise the ordinance language?
Yes, I believe we've got enough. We'll kind of take a stab at it and try to get it out as early as possible so that you'll have some time to review, and we can come to the next meeting, ready to talk about comments.
Okay. So do we want to bring this back through committee to look at the actual ordinance and then recommend that onto council?
I would recommend that it come back to you once at least.
Okay.
So you can take a look at the form of it. I would appreciate it also if you could send me that spreadsheet.
Yep. I'll send it to you when we get off the Zoom here. Okay. Does anyone else have any comments before we close discussion on this matter? Knowing that it'll come back to us again to look at. Okay. All right, then next item on our agenda is roundtable. Do we have any roundtable from the committee members?
I just had a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Well, so I was thinking, I don't remember if it was last meeting or the meeting before that, where I remember we were discussing the who will take over if the mayor's out and then if the mayor pro tem's out.
The succession.
Yeah. Whatever happened to that? Because I thought we had passed it on, but whatever happened to it? I was just curious.
You did, and I haven't completed my work on it yet, so that's on me at this point. But I would hope to have that done fairly quickly. So
okay, perfect.
No,
I was
you
just
did.
curious. I remembered it, but I was like, wait, whatever happened to it? So
No,
Okay.
totally on me. I just have not completed my work on that ordinance and brought it forward. I was working on LIRC at the same time, and that one was more time sensitive, and so I haven't quite gotten to this one completed yet.
Okay.
But I will.
okay, yeah, no, perfect. I was just curious. So thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have any roundtable items? I did want to mention, at some point, I think we need to have a discussion about the charter commission that's going to come up. I believe, is that going to need to meet in 2026? I know we're not like in a giant rush on it, right? When would that typically meet? Or maybe this is a thing for staff to bring back at our next meeting, just kind of a little bit of information about what the commission is, when it's going to need to meet, and when we'll need to make appointments to it, because I think typically this committee would structure the process for making those appointments. Does that sound about right to staff?
What happened last time was the process is, it really doesn't tell us how those appointments are to occur. And so the way it went last time, there was a discussion of the mayor and council, a resolution ultimately was prepared. And I think because it does say that the council chooses, but beyond that, it doesn't tell you what mechanism to use. So I know last time, I forget exactly, but I know each council member chose one, and then maybe the two council members of each district chose one together, I believe is happened. And then that goes forward as a resolution. Then there is a whole process that was used last time where people submitted those names and it was all put together. And so they were appointed in the fall, and then they started work in January of 2016. And so they worked from January through kind of the summer, and the end of the summer, then they brought forward their recommendations. The council had some time to review those.
But we would appoint the members like next fall, and then they would work on it through fall of 25 into 26, and then it would go on the 27 ballot. Is that right?
Yeah, what they did last time was they were appointed in the fall of 16. They started their work in January of 17. They worked all the way up until like July or August when they provided their final report. And then during the next couple of months, the council reviewed the questions, all of the various questions, and an ordinance was completed then using those questions and setting it. You know, the deadline for the April election is usually the end of January of that year. So, you know, the council would need to complete its work on those, and we would need to have it ready to be finalized and certified to the county by the end of January in 27 for the April 27 election.
Gotcha. Okay, so, but we still would be looking at appointing those members sometime next year. So maybe just sometime in the next few meetings of this committee, you could prepare a little bit of a more formal presentation on that,
Sure.
and then we could start some discussion about what we want that to look like, and then make a recommendation to council and the mayor for more discussion on it. But I think it'd be good for us to do the homework on it and get it ready for them.
Yep, absolutely. We can do that. I think I already have compiled the information on like the last 3 times,
okay,
2 times when it came forward, what the resolutions look like and the size of the commissions and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be great if we can have that and work through it. Because again, it's been almost 10 years, so good to refresh everybody on what that looks like. So, okay, I think that was my only item. Does staff have any roundtable?
I don't have anything. Gina, when is our next? What is the date of our next meeting?
December 19th.
Okay, will that work for everyone? I know it's getting a little bit close to Christmas.
Okay with me.
Okay. Well, I don't have any objections, so unless anybody else does, we will plan to meet then. All right. Well, thank everybody for their time, and we will talk to you all later.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.